Hi, I'm Damon from Visual Mash, and I'm going to give you a quick beginner's guide on the MagicHD media server system from Camsys. So let's go and have a little quick look. This is the MagicHD hardware version. It's available in 3 different versions: a hardware version, as you can see here, a standalone software version, and it's also part of the MagicQ PC system. So this is a MagicQ console. This is an interface for the MagicQ PC system, and the MagicQ PC system is free to use software. So you don't need these interfaces to make it run, but they will make your life a lot easier. So if we just go and download the MagicQ PC system, there's 3 different versions. There's the Windows, the Mac, and the Linux. So we just click on the one that we want, and then this will take us to the download site, so we can just create ourselves a login and download the software. So once you've downloaded the software, we can then go ahead and install it and move on to the next step. Now what I'm going to do is run through with you how to add your own custom content to the MagicHD system. So if we just navigate to our install directory for MagicQ PC, in this case it's program files x86 Camsys Limited MagicQ PC, and inside this folder we've got a directory called convert. So this is where we need to put our custom content to be converted to be used with MagicHD. So I've got some content here from Visual Mash, and what we need to do is there is a certain way that we have to number our content within this convert folder, and this will make a lot more sense later on when we're actually using the system. But you just need to know the folders need to be numbered starting at 10 up to 255, and the files can start from number 1 up to 255. Folders from 0 up to 9 are reserved for MagicHD or MagicQ PC's own use. So we can create a new folder. Our folders can have names if they want, but they must start with a number. So I'm just going to call this 0, 10, and then the number must be followed by an underscore if you're going to name that with a name as well. And then we'll just copy some custom content over. If you notice here, we've also got a PNG file, which is a mask file, and I'll explain that later on as well. So as you can see, none of these are numbered, so we need to put a number in front of them all. And to do that, I've got a little bit of software called Better File Rename. There's a lot of rename systems out there, but that's just the one that I'm using. So I've created this little thing called a droplet. I'll just drop the files onto it and then select rename all, and that's numbered them all for me. So I'll just delete these as we've already got them in this existing folder, so it's fine to delete them. So close that down, and now we're ready to start MagicQ PC. Here we are with MagicQ PC running. As you can see, it looks very much like a lighting control desk, because that is what it is. In order to get the media player running, we just make sure this is checked view media output. And once we've got that checked, we get this little window here pop up. Normally we'd drag this window onto our second monitor and we'd hit F11, and that would make it go full screen. We can then go on to tell it to convert our media. And you'll see the progress of what's going on in this status bar here. Also, if we type anything on the keyboard, like hello, that's also displayed in this area here as well. Normally we'd patch MagicHD in as a lighting fixture like any other lighting fixture into the desk, but for simplicity and just to get an idea of what you can do with the system, I definitely recommend loading the demo show. And what that will do is load MagicHD and set it up for you without having to worry about any of the configurations. Now, quite often what you'll get at this point is a pop-up saying, do you want to download the demo content? If it's the first time you've ever done it, just select yes. Hopefully if you're connected to the internet, that'll download it and you'll be ready to go. Let's just quickly run through what we've got here then. If we select our MagicHD, we can then see on our light output layers what's going on. So if I select playback 1, these are what we call a playback. And if I click on my play button, you can see that I'm cycling through and I'm changing just the media that's being displayed on layer 1. Each layer can also have a mask on it. and the mask can be programmed as part of the layer. So we could run MagicHD all from one fader, and just we can also do things like invert our masks, and masks can also have different levels of transparency depending on their grey levels. So you've got your black and whites, and depending on how you set up defines whether black is transparent or white is transparent. And we've also got colorization as well, so we can color layers, which is very important if you're trying to make things working with your lighting systems, and obviously that will do the same way that works in with your masks and things too. And we've also got text layers. It just is a really easy way of adding text without having to set it up as an actual visual. We'll go into more about the text layers in another tutorial. We've also got an output layer, and this is probably easier shown later on actually. What we've got here is different layers being used and different layers being manipulated, so the positions and the scale and sizes and stuff are being manipulated, and you can see up here what's going on. So each one of these video clips is just a different piece of video playing on a different layer, and now we can see how our output layer affects everything. So one master layer that takes the whole output and manipulates it as well, which can be really handy. I'll also just show you we've got an output layer here as well. Because MagicHD is seen as a lighting fixture, there's no real controls or settings for it, so this is just a way of us previewing information, and that's set up under the output control of MagicHD under the media tab, so we can change that here. Now what we're going to do is show you how to actually program MagicHD yourself using some custom content. So we'll just remove the information off these playbacks. Remove can be sort of thought of as a little bit like a delete, although the reason it's called remove is because we're not actually removing the data from the system, we're just removing it off the playback. So we can use double click as a shortcut way of confirming that that is actually what we want to do. Now, as you can see, it's not going to let me remove off this playback, and it's flashing me an error up here telling me what's going on. And the reason that is because this playback is what we call active. It's still red, so it's still sending out information, which is our information on the screen here. So we just need to release this playback by sliding the fader down, and now we can remove that. So when I said we wasn't actually deleting and we was actually just removing them off of playback, they're still kept in what we call the stack store. So if we want to bring some of those back onto a fader, we can just copy that. So we just select copy, and whatever one it is we want, we click on it, select our destination, and as you can see here, that's telling me what it is we need to do. We can also use the move command as well. So I can just click on it, select destination, so copy, select source, select a destination. So like I said, they haven't actually disappeared, they're still there if you want to get them back. So let's just remove those. Okay, so now we've removed our information off our playbacks and freed them up. We're now going to add some of our own custom content to them. I just need to explain to you quickly a few little functions. We've got what we call the programmer. Now, if I click and hold on the programmer button, that temporarily shows me what's in the programmer. If I just click on it and release quickly, then the program comes up and stays up. And I can get back to our media window by just clicking on the media button here. We've also got a function here called record, and we use record to take whatever's in the programmer and store that information into a playback. The first thing we're going to do is put some information on our output layer. So we're going to select MagicHD, and we're going to select output. And if we look at the moment, we've got nothing in our programmer. So if I select these different parameters here, you'll see that none of them have got any values. When I hit locate, you'll see now that everything's been given its default value. So this is a really handy way just to sort of give everything its default, just as a good starting point. So if we now look in our programmer, you'll see we've got a spreadsheet style that's got all our values in of, you know, all our different functions. So you can see the positions here, the intensity level, the dimmer level. And I'm just moving backwards and forwards here using my cursor keys. We can click on these as well, and we can select page left, page right, up, down, all those usual spreadsheet functions that you'd expect. If we look over here as well, that's telling me that I'm looking at the mask file, and that's got a value of 3, and that will change to whatever one I've got highlighted. And we can actually use this to change a value as well if we want to, but we want everything to its default, so I'm just going to hit locate again just to take it all back to its defaults. So then all we do is we just hit record and put it onto a playback. Let's just run through that again. I'm going to clear the information that's in the programmer. I'm going to click this button here, which is clear, and if there's information in the program, you'll get a little red indicator come on here. So we'll clear that, and we're going to go back to our media window. So we clicked MagicHD, we select output, we're selecting locate, and I'm just going to give it a name. So we're going to just call this output, and then I'm going to hit record, and I'm going to select a playback where I want to put that output. Now our output controls all on playback 10. Now we can go on to a program and some of our custom content. As we've still got information on our programmer, if I was just to locate this, if I look in our programmer now, and just scroll back, you can see we've got values for our output and layer 1. So if I hit record and a fader, we're going to record output information as well, which we don't want to do. So let's just clear our programmer, go back to our media, select our media server and our layer, and we'll just select locate. Now, earlier on, if you remember, we put our custom content in media folder 10, didn't we? So we need to go through to folder 10, and here we can then select some of our custom media. And if we look here, the media file is 1, 2, so these are all indicated. So whatever file we gave that number, you can see is changed here. And this can be really handy if you're doing if you've pre-programmed a show and you need to adjust a bit of content, you can just put it in place and make sure your places begin with the same number, and you know that will then update throughout your show. So let's select something like this liquid effect here, and if you look here on layer 1, you can see that that's shown here. Now the reason we're not outputting anything to the screen is because we need to bring our output layer up. So if we just bring that up, we can see our liquid effect now, and let's add a mask. So we'll go to MagicHD and we'll select the MagicHD mask. Just to quickly run through that with you again, I'm selecting MagicHD, I'm selecting layer 1, I'm selecting locate, I'm then selecting my media, or let's just stay on our mask, means we're already there. So let's go to mask, select MagicHD, let's go to media, select my media folder, and I can also click here to select the content I want, or we can just click directly on it. And yeah, we like that, so we'll just hit record. Now we'll type MagicHD. Now if you notice, last time I actually typed it in before I hit record, and you can do it either or. As long as before you hit the playback button, then that's what it will be named as. So we'll click on that. So we've now got that called MagicHD. And we'll stick with this same video clip, but what we'll do is we'll change our mask file. So we can then just carry on and make our changes to that layer. So if we select our media folder, and we'll select our mask. Now quite often what you do is you'd actually store your media content in one folder and you'd select another for your mask folder, but it doesn't really make any difference. So yeah, and we've now got our little visual mash one, so we'll call that visual mash, and we'll hit record, and we'll then select our fader again. Now, at the moment, this is not actually going to be doing anything, and the reason it's not working is because we've still got information in our programmer, and because we was adjusting layer 1 in our programmer, that's overwriting the layer 1 information that's on this fader. So we can't see that change. So we just need to remove the values out of our programmer, and you'll see when I click clear, this little light will go out, indicating that there's no information in that programmer. So now if we bring this fader up, you can see we've got our MagicHD and we've got our visual mash, but it's cycling between the two, and we don't really want that to happen. What we want to do is just hit our play button and make it change. So to change that, I'm going to double click on it, and that's going to bring up our Q stacks, and this is our 2 Qs in our stack. So incidentally, if you did want it to do this and you just want to change the speed, you could do that by moving this to here. You can also do it by double tapping on the crossfade box. For certain functions, you know, you can use your crossfade as well, but because we're using masks, the crossfade's not going to work out. You can also do things like change your chase type and your direction and various bits and pieces there as well. Going back to what we were saying, we just want this to work with what we call Q timing, which is where we can just hit our playback button and that will move on to the next Q with whatever times are set. So if we select Q timing, select yes, and now we can see that each time I hit the play button, we're changing our content, or we're just changing our mask there. Okay, so let's do something else. Let's add something to layer 2. So if we select our MagicHD, we'll select our layer 2 and we'll locate it. And let's add some media. So if we go back to our media folder 10, and let's put some fireworks on there. Now, if I change my blend mode at the moment, layer 2 is sort of overwriting layer 1. Normally you'd expect to see what was on layer 1, and we'd like to see all that underneath. So we can change our blend mode here. Yeah, that looks good. And we'll just hit record, and I'll call this fireworks, because all we're actually recording is information for layer 2, as you can see from in our programmer. So we're hitting record and selecting our playback, and now we've got fireworks on our second playback. So if we just clear it, and we can just bring our fireworks in as we like, and do the same with our visual mash, and bring that down. And obviously if we want to bring them both down together, the reason why it's nice to have this on separate output, you know, although we've got like our grandmaster things here, we can still control, you know, set levels for our MagicHD and have other functions working where pulling the grandmaster down would affect everything. Sometimes if we just want to affect our video, that allows us to control the whole thing together and just sort of fade it in and out. That's our basic quick start guide. If you found this helpful, please like it, because if you do, we will make more video tutorials for you. This is a very, very powerful system, so we've literally just scratched the surface. There are other tutorials out there on the MagicQ, so go and have a look at them, because they are all relative to how you use MagicHD. You know, all the controls and the effects generators and various different things like that can be used with the values on the MagicHD as well. So I'm Damien, thank you very much for your time, thanks for listening, and hopefully we'll catch you on the next tutorial.